Marcus Gates.
Hey, what's up guys, Mac here, playing Gears of War Ultimate Edition, taking you through the entire game and showing you all 33 cog tag locations. This will get you the For the Fallen achievement for collecting all of the cog tags throughout the game, as well as 2 other achievements along the way. Now the very first cog tag can be found in Act 1, 14 years after E-Day. I do have subtitles on for you guys who are interested in maybe knowing where we are in the game. And another note is that if you're playing in co-op, as long as one person picks up the tag, it should unlock for both people, so keep that in mind. Now the very first cog tag, literally as soon as you come out of the training area, the first gate, just walk forward and you'll find it right next to the Crimson Omen. Now if you do see a Crimson Omen on the map, that is an indicator that there is a cog tag in that general location. It starts off easier and then they get a little bit further, and I do recommend you use this guide. Although 20 or so of the cog tags are very easy to stumble upon, there are a few more difficult ones and you're probably bound to miss one along your way. And the unfortunate bit is that it's very hard to tell which one it is that you missed without replaying the entire game and trying to either use your memory in order to figure out where you are. Now cog tag number 2, if you walked into this big area and came to the right hand side, you would have found it on the opening chapter. And then afterwards there will be some enemies that come through the door, and you'll want to come outside and come up the left hand staircase onto this platform, and you should find it in the corner. All 3 of these were on the first chapter of the game. And then moving forward, we are on Trial by Fire. This is the first cog tag that is really pointed out to you. You'll come to this open area after you descend up some stairs through a church, and it'll actually be pointed out to you. They'll tell you to look at it. If you hold Y, you'll look directly at it, and then you can just walk up to it and pick it up. You're going to pick up cog tags, obviously, by pressing X. Now eventually you're going to come into this kind of church area in Trial by Fire, and you'll see a Crimson Omen on one of the pillars. And if you come to the back of the church to make your way through it as part of the story, there will be an emergence hole that opens up in the back. Obviously I've killed all the enemies and closed that hole, and you'll be able to find the cog tag to the left hand side of the door that leads out of this area. So you'll obviously want to go up to it and pick it up in order to continue along. Make sure you're following along and that you're also on 5 out of 5 and then now 6 out of 6 on Fish in a Barrel. You'll come to this open kind of square area, and you'll see a statue in the very middle with a Crimson Omen on the left hand side. If you just stick on the outside and go to the left kind of corner of this area from where we entered, you should be able to find some cog tags kind of on this sidewalk near one of the light posts. On the chapter Knock Knock, we'll come into this kind of courtyard area with a large building filled with pillars in a semicircle kind of formation. On the left hand side, you'll spot a white van with a Crimson Omen. Next to that van, we can find a cog tag.
Warm up.
On the chapter Hammer in Act 1, we'll kind of come through this area, we'll come to this narrow hallway where we get attacked by wretches, and we'll need Jack in order to open one of the doors for us. Instead of going towards the door, if you take a left-hand turn down the hallway behind the desk, you should be able to spot a cog tag. Later on in the same chapter on Hammer, you'll descend through a kind of church monastery area. You'll see a Crimson Omen kind of directly in front of you at one point, and you'll follow around a staircase and make your way downstairs after you kill a cedar. And after you come through that area that I was just in, you'll be able to come here and find a dead soldier in front of you, and if you hook around the right hand side wall, you should be able to find the cog tag. At the very start of the China Shop chapter, instead of continuing forward down this dark hallway, we'll want to turn around directly behind us and then just continue and follow that hallway, and we'll end up in front of a large flame with the cog tag sitting at the base. Again, this is the very beginning of China Shop.
Shit.
Now, later on in that same chapter, we're going to meet a Berserker, and we're going to use the Berserker in order to get through the different doors and hallways of the area that which it spawns. Now, in the final room before heading outside, as you saw, I just broke through this door, and as soon as we come through that door, you'll notice the statue in front of me. Stay on your left-hand side, and in the last kind of alcove with a window, you'll be able to find this cog tag. This is in the last room before headed outside. I believe there's a total of 3 rooms, but there might be 2 or 4. I believe there's 3 though. This is right before heading outside. Now, as soon as we make it outside with the Berserker, make sure you don't kill him right away, and instead, take your time and go to the left-hand side from the direction you entered, or if you're facing the door where the Berserker's coming through, it's going to be to the right-hand side. You should notice the Crimson Omen on the wall in one of the corners, and you'll find the cog tag behind one of the light posts there. So now we've made our way onto Act 2. We're in Tick Tick Boom, which is one of the first chapters, and we'll make it into this room through the door right behind me, and we're going to have to come around down a small set of steps over this log, and then to continue forward we would be turning left and through a door. But before we go over there, we're going to want to come down to the lowest area of this part of the map in this room, and we'll find this cog tag directly next to the couch. Now luckily in the original Gears we had to actually saw through the couch, but this one's a little bit easier to spot and you won't have to do that. Now, later on in that act, in chapter Grist, we're going to come to this area where there's a large kind of turbine in the middle. We're going to get attacked by some wretches, and there's going to be a big explosion to our right-hand side, which disables that catwalk. And we're going to kill a few of these wretches, and once we make our way outside, there will be a few more wretches, and the cog tag is actually located directly under the metal staircase that we use to descend from this floor to the main floor outside. So directly below me right now, we can find the cog tag. Now, later on in the chapter, you'll end up kind of stumbling upon the stranded survivors camp, and that's directly to my right. If you use the Y button in order to zoom in on the point of interest, that's what it's going to show you. But before we head up there and interact with them and get into the gate, make sure you stick to the left-hand side so you don't start that cutscene. Behind this, near this car, behind some of these cement blocks, you'll be able to find cog tag number 15 if you've been following along and haven't missed any. Now, number 16 is in Lethal Dusk. This is the one where, in this chapter, you'll need to be using explosive propane tanks in order to light the way so you don't get killed by the krill. This is as soon as you're introduced into that game mechanic, you'll see this emergence hole in between these two cars, and then we're actually going to need to go right to proceed. But you'll notice that there's a Crimson Omen as well as a propane tank in a shed to your left. So make sure that you shoot that propane tank, sprint through the darkness, and you should be able to find this cog tag in this shed. If you don't shoot the propane tank, you'll actually die on the way, so make sure you do that. Now we're later on in Lethal Dusk, and if you're playing as Marcus, you'll be using a spotlight to help Dom get across the street in order to turn on the lights. And as soon as you do that, you're going to want to point the spotlight back to where you kind of started, in the corner near some of the rubble and cars. And then as soon as you get off of that spotlight, you're going to want to go down there and go up to the cog tag in order to pick it up. If you don't move the spotlight in the correct position, you will die on the way there. And obviously, if you're Dom, you're going to have to do the part where you run across the street as Marcus is helping you across. And then you can also backtrack to get this if you need to. So we've gotten about half the collectibles now. We're still in Act 2. This chapter is called Dark Labyrinth. You'll come through this house and you'll end up coming outside. As soon as you come outside, you'll notice a Crimson Omen on a white car directly to your right-hand side. And this cog tag should be pretty much out in the open as soon as you come outside. Now we're on Downpour. After progressing a little bit through the map and getting to the area where you're supposed to be using an elevator as told by the person dispatching your missions, you'll notice that there is a cog tag on your right hand side on one of these buildings, and if you loop around behind it, you'll notice that there's a very long dock made of wood going out into the ocean. You're going to want to sprint to the very end of this dock in order to pick up the cog tags that are located at the very end. Now we're in Act 3, and you'll come to this part of the chapter Evolution where you have to walk over these wooden planks in order to get to the other side of this area. And as you're walking over the wooden planks, some of them will break and you'll fall down. Now if you fall down, that's totally okay. There's a ladder which you can use to get back up. I'm going to be showing you this in one take without using that ladder, just so you don't get too confused. But you're going to have to go forward, walk to the right hand side, and then if you turn left, you should see the cog tag directly in front of you there. but we can't walk straight towards it because the planks will fall from underneath our feet. So I'm walking around here. As you saw, my teammate just fell down there, my co-op teammate. And as long as we can make it to this corner and pick up the cog tag, we shouldn't have too many problems. Again, if you fall down, just make sure you find the ladder, get back up, and restart that little area. Now we're at the very end of Act 3 Evolution. You're going to want to be really quick on this. There's a button and there's some mine carts. Before you go downstairs and get into a minecart, make sure you hook around to the right-hand side next to the staircase to find the cog tag. If you're not quick enough on this one, the cutscene will start, and you're going to want to pause it and load the last checkpoint really quickly. Now we're in Darkest Before the Dawn, and you'll come up to this kind of small split path, and you're going to probably need to go to the left-hand side to progress there. But instead, you should notice a Crimson Omen on the right-hand side near a door that you can't actually use. And if you follow this right-hand side path to this kind of open lit area, you'll find a cog tag kind of right next to that door. Now we're still in Darkest Before the Dawn, and we're going to fall down a waterfall, end up in this area, and then there's going to be a big firefight. I've obviously taken care of those enemies, and you'll notice that there's some blue lighting with a little bit of a shed structure to your right-hand side if you look out there. And you're going to approach that structure, but instead of going upstairs, you'll find a small alcove right next to it where you can find a cog tag. Now, Marcus and Dom will get split up and then join back together. You'll come around this narrow kind of cave system with a Crimson Omen on your left hand side, and then it opens up into this large area with yellow lighting. Instead of progressing forward to kind of finish off the level, we're going to come to our first right hand side as soon as we enter the area to find our 24th cog tag. Now we've made our way to Act 4 in Campus Grinder. We're going to come to this open area with a hope sign in the middle. There's a hotel here, and during the firefight you can hop up to the right hand side and find the cog tag in front of this building. As soon as this chapter starts, you're going to want to head straight, and you'll notice a cog sign in front of you next to a car, and you should be able to find the cog tag on the sidewalk next to that wall right behind the car. After making significant progress through the chapter Imaginary Place, you're going to come through this hallway and then enter a room with 4 pillars and a desk at the back. Now, what you're going to need to do to get this one is actually use your chainsaw in order to go through the desk. You can also use one of your weapons to just destroy it, or a grenade, and you can find the cog tag underneath the desk. Now we've made our way to Act 5, and the next 3 cog tags are going to be the ones that were only in the PC version of the original game. So if you never played the PC version, these ones are probably new to you. In Comedy of Errors, which is the first chapter of Act 5, you'll come through a building where you'll use a wheel to open a valve to get through a fire. You'll come to this open garden, and then you'll want to go to your left-hand side where you'll see a half-open gate, and behind that gate you can find your cog tag. Now in the next chapter, which is called Window Shopping, near the very beginning, you'll make your way through a parking garage. On the second story, you'll come through this door, and then to proceed, you would be going upstairs. But instead of going upstairs, we're going to actually continue past that staircase, go down the stairs, loop a little bit around, and we will find cog tag number 29 if we've been following along. Now in the chapter Jurassic Proportions, there will be a kind of Brumac battle, and for this one we're going to actually just run straight across from where we spawn, and the cog tag can be found kind of behind where the Brumac is at the very beginning. Just make sure you enter behind these little 4 concrete kind of guardrails in the proper direction. You should be able to find that one no problem. Now we're starting the last chapter with collectibles. After this chapter, it's just the boss battle. Near the beginning, after Jack opens this door and you deal with the Berserker, you'll come into the first train car, and as soon as you come in, right to your left-hand side, you'll find cog tag number 31. Now number 32, you'll deal with a whole bunch of Reavers, and you'll notice that there's these 2 turrets on top of this train car, and you'll be told to go up a ladder in order to access those chain turrets. But before we go up the ladder, make sure you pick up this cog tag that I'm about to show you. It's to the right hand side of the train car, kind of as you enter behind one of the walls. Now this last one, pay attention very, very carefully, because if you make a small mistake, it'll trigger the next chapter, and then you'll have to replay this whole thing again in order to find it. You'll interact with these metal kind of cylinders for the second time in the chapter once you're outside, and then you'll notice that there's a Crimson Omen on the left-hand side of the train car. Instead of going to the next train car, which will trigger the next chapter, just loop around, follow the wall, come into the door, into this hallway, and at the very end of the hallway you'll find a green button which you can open this door, and then you'll find your last final cog tag, number 33 out of 33, which will unlock your final collectible related achievement. If this video has been helpful, it would be super appreciated if you were able to give it a thumbs up on YouTube, possibly leave a comment, and make sure you share it with your friends. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I see you in the future. Peace.